Abbas Kiarostami was born in Tehran in 1940. He studied painting at the University of Tehran School of Fine Arts and ended up working mainly in the world of advertisement. He made his first short film, The Bread and the Alley, in 1970 that explored child psychology, which is a theme seen across many of his works. Kiarostami draws influence from life. He takes the things he experiences and the things that go on around him to inspire his works.
تجربه زندگی و محیط اطرافم نه سینما و نه ادبیات.
The political conditions of Iran in the 1980s were shaped by two things: the aftermath of the 1979 Islamic Revolution and the Iran-Iraq War that spanned from 1980 to 1988. After the revolution, Iran became an Islamic republic. This resulted in strict censorship, enforcement of Islamic conventions such as dress code, gender interaction, and morality, and silencing voices that went against the Islamic law. This censorship transformed Iranian cinema to comply with the new laws, and many genres were restricted or entirely removed. This led into a decline in both the quality and quantity of film production in Iran. The Iran and Iraq War went on for much of the 80s. The majority of Iranians' lives were transformed to now focus on sacrifice and survival. Media was also utilized to support the war effort and to spread propaganda across the country. This meant that filmmakers had to avoid political critique. Filmmakers adapted by using symbolism to bypass censorship, minimalism, and realism to present simple, everyday narratives that are slightly ambiguous or open-ended. Filmmakers began pushing boundaries and indirectly critiquing their country. This humanistic and less ideological cinema led to what we call the new Iranian cinema. The film Where's the Friend's House, directed by Abbas Kiarostami, is a simple but deeply meaningful film about childhood, responsibility, and resilience. The story follows a boy named Ahmed, who is a primary school student in a rural village. One day, he accidentally takes his friend Muhammad's notebook. Their strict teacher had already given Muhammad a warning that if he doesn't bring his notebook to class again, he will risk being expelled. Ahmed realizes the seriousness of the situation and becomes determined to return the book to his friend. On his journey, he faces many obstacles, but despite all this, he persists. The film is known for its simplicity, realism, and emotional subtlety. A story that shows the quiet strength and kindness and resilience when everything else is stacked against you. The film shows moral responsibility as a duty we have towards each other, while simultaneously critiquing a society structured around individualism. The plot relies on Ahmed's desire to help his friend, a desire that is entirely self-generated and not imposed by an external power. We feel this moral urgency through the restricted narration. The camera stays with Ahmed for the majority of the film, allowing us to experience the full range of his emotions. This leads us to align ourselves with his viewpoint and against the indifference of the adult world. This indifference creates many obstacles that Ahmed has to face. His conscious choice to persist turns a simple act of kindness into something more profound and morally significant. Meanwhile, the self-contained mindsets of the adults are shown through the way in which they dismiss Ahmed's concerns. This individualistic world shows that responsibility lies only to oneself and your own family. This is shown in the mise-en-scène, where the adults are often shown indoors. Meanwhile, Ahmed is constantly moving around and exploring the world around him. The society appears fragmented, and Ahmed appears to be attempting to bridge that disconnection. This is further highlighted in the dialogue, where Ahmed's concerns are met with impatience and authority, like saying, "Do your work." In the context of 1980s Iran being a country under intense political conflict, we can understand how adults adopted an each for their own mindset while also living in the fear of an unstable environment. Throughout the film, there is a sharp divide between the adults and children. The adults embody rigid social authority, while children represent the moral clarity and empathy. The contrast is expressed through the form and narrative. The film is shot from Ahmed's perspective and often cuts off the adults within the frame. For example, in a scene where the adults are discussing the new doors and windows, it is viewed as if they are talking over him. We feel as if we are physically positioned in Ahmed's place and experience adult authority as distant and irrational, just like he does. The adults are also often framed indoors, whereas Ahmed is always moving through the open rural landscapes. This shows how the adults are confined to their rules while the children are still free. This reflects the Iranian people's vulnerability and their lack of control to the political conflict happening during the 1980s, and shows how the struggles of an oppressed society lead people to grow into rigid ideology and harsh authoritative personalities.
While looking for his friend's house, the boy was ignored and turned down by almost everyone. The people around the village have no idea where his friend stays. The film is set in rural Iran, which was chosen intentionally to be outside of the city due to the war which was happening there. In addition, there is also a noticeable lack of music in the film. Both elements help to create an anti-war film and represent that even though there is no mention of war and that we cannot see it's happening, it is still affecting the daily lives of ordinary people in 1980s Iran. The zigzag path in the film symbolises Ahmed's persistence and determination to find his friend's house, despite knowing the consequences he will face upon returning home. However, an old carpenter represents hope for the young boy to find his friend's house, being the only person who willingly helps him. The carpenter discusses the old days in Iran where he used to make doors and windows, but now they are getting replaced with new ones. This shows the parallel to the state of Iran at this time, where they have new rules and Iran won't ever be able to be the same as it was before the war. In the end, the boy realises that even the carpenter cannot help him. The constant rejection reflects the struggles of ordinary lives of people in Iran. This corresponds to the resilience that Iran had in the 8-year war against Iraq at this time, with the collective determination to protect their country. In the film, adults use their authority to tell the children what to do. However, between the boy's teacher, mother and grandfather, they all ask him to prioritise different things, making it impossible for the boy to follow these rules. He chooses to ignore these demands and instead returns his friend's notebook. This very strict authority reflects on Iranian cinema during the revolution in Iran. A lot of filmmakers moved out of Iran due to the harsh censorship. Therefore, from the 1980s, cinema in Iran was trying to be re-established. The new films being produced allow people to connect with them, as they represent the natural human emotions and experiences. For example, the simple narrative of a boy battling his inner conflict about listening to authority, which does not listen to him, or to face the consequences of ignoring them. This conflict is highlighted through close-ups of the boy showing the distress on his face, allowing the audience to feel empathy for him. For example, when the old carpenter finally leads the boy to his friend's house, he goes up to the door but doesn't knock, and we see a close-up of this hesitation. He has at last made it to the end. He still doesn't manage to knock, showing his inner conflict and the reality of being stuck in a society which he can't escape. In conclusion, while this film is intentionally an anti-war film, it is clear through the way that the film has been shot within setting and narrative that we can see the human struggle in 1980s Iran. While the narrative of the film is very simple, there are a lot of complex themes which are shown. For example, the young boy is dealing with a huge responsibility of trying to prevent his classmate from being expelled. The director Abbas Kiarostami's choice to use non-actors and realist scenes helps to critique the social status of Iran during this time.